Rule 1. Make English so small you cannot avoid it. The first and most important rule of mastering English through micro-habits is to make your daily English so small, so simple, and so easy that your brain cannot resist it. Most people fail not because English is difficult, but because they try to do too much at once, pushing themselves into stress, pressure, and guilt. When something feels heavy, your mind avoids it automatically. That's why long study sessions fail. Not because you are lazy, but because your brain naturally rejects overwhelming tasks. So Rule 1 teaches you to flip the system. Instead of making English a mountain you must climb, you make it a tiny step you can take even on your worst day. 1 minute of listening, 1 short sentence to read, 1 phrase to repeat, 1 word to learn, 1 tiny line to speak out loud. These micro-actions feel so small that your mind says, okay, fine, I can do that. And once you start, the resistance disappears. You don't feel the weight. You don't feel the pressure. You simply do the action because it takes so little energy. But here is the real secret. Small actions repeated daily grow faster than big actions done rarely. 1 minute every day becomes 30 minutes a month. 1 new word every day becomes 30 new words each month. 1 short English thought every day becomes a stronger English mindset. This is how you build momentum, not through force, but through gentle repetition. The magic of micro-habits is consistency without suffering. You don't need motivation. You don't need courage. You don't need willpower. You only need a small doorway into English, a doorway so tiny that you can walk through it even when you're tired, busy, sad, lazy, or stressed. Your fluency grows quietly, silently, naturally. You don't notice the progress at first, but one morning you wake up speaking more smoothly, understanding more easily, feeling more confident. Why? Because small daily English is stronger than big occasional English. Rule 1 gives you freedom. You don't chase English, you make it part of your day in the smallest possible way. And with each tiny step, you become the person who doesn't fear English anymore. You become the person who lives it. Rule 2. Turn English input into a daily lifestyle, not a study session. Rule 2 teaches you something that most English learners never understand. Fluency does not come from long hours of studying, but from making English a natural part of your daily life. When English becomes a lifestyle, you stop learning the language and start absorbing it. Think about how children learn. They do not memorize grammar books. They do not force themselves to listen to lessons, and they do not panic about mistakes. They simply live in the language, hearing it constantly, seeing it everywhere, feeling it naturally. This is the power of consistent daily input. When you surround yourself with English through tiny, enjoyable habits, a short YouTube clip, a podcast while walking, subtitles during lunch, a simple English thought before sleeping, your brain starts treating English as something normal, not something foreign. And when English becomes normal, your fluency grows on its own without stress. Rule 2 is about designing your day, so English appears automatically, like the way you scroll your phone, brush your teeth, or take a shower. You don't think about it, you just do it. Imagine you listen to 3 minutes of English while brushing your hair, 5 minutes while commuting, 2 minutes while preparing food, and 1 minute before sleep. That's 10 to 20 minutes of input without any effort. This habit builds a rhythm, and rhythm builds fluency. And the beauty of lifestyle English is this. You never feel like you are studying, but your brain is learning behind the scenes. You start to hear patterns without trying. You understand expressions that you never memorized. You start speaking automatically because your mind has heard the rhythm enough times. This is how real fluency is born. Not through force, but through immersion. Rule 2 gives you a new identity. You become someone who lives with English daily, rather than someone who tries to learn it occasionally. And once your lifestyle includes English, progress becomes guaranteed. You can miss a day, but the habit stays alive. You can feel tired, but the input still fits. You can feel lazy, but English is already built into your day. When your environment feeds your brain English naturally, you stop relying on motivation completely. That is the secret. Fluency becomes a side effect of the life you live, not the goal you chase. Rule 2 transforms English from a task into a part of your identity. And once it becomes who you are, the improvement never stops. Rule 3, speak English to yourself. Every day, your voice is your training ground. Rule 3 is the secret that transforms passive learners into confident speakers. Talk to yourself in English every single day. Not once a week, not when you feel motivated, not only when you practice with someone, every day. This simple habit is the foundation of fluency because it trains the one skill most people avoid, using your own voice. You don't need a foreign friend, you don't need a teacher, you don't need perfect grammar. You need only yourself, your thoughts, and your willingness to express them. When you speak to yourself, you remove fear, judgment, and pressure. You create a training room where you can experiment with words, make mistakes safely, and build flow at your own pace. Your brain learns fastest when it hears your own voice saying English sentences. Why? Because your voice is familiar. It is the sound your mind trusts. When you speak, your brain aligns your thoughts with English structure. You stop translating from your language and start forming ideas directly in English. Even 1 minute of self-talk builds mental pathways that textbooks cannot create. You can narrate your actions. I'm cooking breakfast. I'm washing the dishes. I'm getting ready. You can talk about your plans. Today, I will study for 10 minutes. I will walk to the store. You can describe your emotions. I feel tired. I feel motivated. I feel excited. You can even argue with yourself, give yourself advice, or practice conversations that might happen in the real world. Every sentence you speak, even if it's simple, strengthens the connection between your thoughts and the English language. And over time, something magical happens. English stops feeling like a foreign object and becomes a natural voice inside your head. You start thinking in English automatically. You start forming sentences without hesitation. You start responding faster because you have already trained your brain thousands of times through self-talk. This rule is powerful because it teaches your mouth, your mind, and your memory to work together. Most learners understand English perfectly but freeze when speaking because they have trained the mind but not the mouth. Self-talk fixes that. It gives your tongue the flexibility, your brain the speed, and your confidence the strength to speak in front of real people. And the best part? You can do it anywhere. In your room, in the shower, while walking, or quietly in your head around others. No fear, no shame, no pressure. Just you and your language. Rule 3 turns speaking from something scary into something familiar. It turns the language from something foreign into something personal. It builds the muscle memory that real fluency is made of. Speak to yourself daily, and your future English will thank you. Rule 4. Turn every idle moment into English time, very, very long. Most English learners think improvement only happens when they sit at a desk, open a book, and study. But fluent speakers have a completely different mindset. They use all the tiny empty spaces in their day as English practice opportunities. Idle moments, waiting for the bus, walking to the shop, drinking coffee, sitting in a taxi, are not wasted time for them. They are micro-learning pockets, small golden windows, where your brain is relaxed and open, allowing language to sink in naturally. When you start treating these tiny moments as English time, your progress becomes faster, smoother, and almost effortless. Imagine this: you are waiting in line for food. Most people scroll social media or stare at nothing. But you? You quickly review yesterday's vocabulary. Or you listen to a 30-second English phrase. Or you describe what you see around you in English. These small actions don't feel heavy like studying. They feel natural, like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. But over weeks and months, they accumulate into massive improvement. This is how your English becomes part of your lifestyle, not a task that drains you. Think about how often you have idle moments each day. Waiting for your phone to charge, washing dishes, walking to the bathroom, riding an elevator, sitting on your motorbike before starting the engine. These micro moments might be 10 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe 1 minute. Alone, they seem small. But imagine using 20-30 micro moments every day for English. That equals hundreds of minutes of effortless learning every week, without sitting down, without stress, without textbooks. Here's the secret. Your brain learns language best through constant small exposure, not giant study sessions. It's like watering a plant. If you pour a huge bucket of water once a week, the plant suffers. But if you give it small amounts every day, it grows strong and healthy. Your English brain works exactly the same way. Micro moments repeatedly refresh what you know, and they keep your mind connected to English all day long. You are not studying English, you are living in English. This habit also destroys the biggest problem English learners face: forgetting. When you use micro moments throughout the day, your brain keeps the language active, so it doesn't disappear. Your vocabulary stays alive. Your confidence stays warm. Your thinking stays in English mode. The more often your brain switches to English, even for 15 seconds, the faster you become fluent. So from today, tell yourself this: if I have a spare moment, I use it for English. Not to pressure yourself, not to force yourself, but to build a rhythm, a small, gentle rhythm that transforms your daily life into an English environment. You don't need motivation. You don't need long study time. You just need the awareness to use moments that were already there. This is how you build unstoppable fluency, not through long hours, but through powerful micro habits repeated again and again until your brain becomes naturally English thinking. Rule 5. Speak English to yourself. Become your own daily conversation partner. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is waiting for someone to practice speaking with. They wait for a teacher, they wait for a friend, they wait for a chance. But fluent English speakers, they don't wait. They create their own opportunities. And the most powerful technique they use is simple, free, always available, and unbelievably effective: talking to themselves in English every day. Now, before you think, talking to myself? That's weird. Let me tell you something. Every fluent speaker, every polyglot, every confident English communicator secretly does this. They talk to themselves when they cook, when they shower, when they walk, when they are alone, when they think. Why? Because speaking to yourself trains your brain to produce English without fear, without pressure, and without judgment. When you speak to yourself, you are practicing the most important part of fluency: thinking in English before speaking in English. You are building a direct connection between your thoughts and the language, removing your native language from the process. At first, it will feel slow. You will translate in your head. You will search for words. But the more you do it, the smoother it becomes. Eventually, your brain stops thinking in your native language first. It jumps directly to English. And that, right there, is the moment fluency is born. Self-talk is also the safest environment you will ever have. No one is watching you. No one is judging your grammar. No one is laughing. No one is correcting you. You are free to experiment, to make mistakes, to play with language. And this freedom is what builds confidence. You become comfortable hearing your own voice in English, which removes the fear that stops most learners from speaking with others. Think about how many moments you can use to talk to yourself. When you are choosing clothes, what should I wear today? Maybe something comfortable. When you are cooking, okay, I need 2 eggs, a little bit of salt. When you are cleaning, let me finish this quickly so I can relax later. When you are walking, today is a good day. I feel motivated. When you are showering, all right, I should focus on my goals this week. These small sentences might feel simple, but they train your brain to think automatically in English. And as you continue, your self-talk becomes deeper. You describe your plans, your goals, your emotions, your problems, your dreams. Your English becomes personal, real, and powerful. Here's the magic. Speaking to yourself builds the exact same neural pathways as speaking to another person. Your brain doesn't care if someone else is listening or not. It only cares that you are forming sentences, choosing words, and expressing ideas. That's why self-talk is one of the fastest fluency-building habits on earth. And here's another reason. This habit is life-changing. You speak every single day. Even on the busiest days, you talk. Even on the days you don't read or study, you still talk. So if you make English your thinking language, your self-talk language, you are practicing automatically, even when you don't feel like studying. Over time, speaking to yourself does something magical. It rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a learner and start seeing yourself as a person who speaks English. The more you speak with yourself, the more comfortable and natural English becomes. You stop freezing. You stop doubting. You stop overthinking. You simply talk. You simply express. You simply live in English. This is why Rule 5 is not just a habit. It is a transformation. It turns your mind into an English environment. It removes your fear. It boosts your confidence. It helps you speak faster, smoother, clearer, and more naturally. It builds the fluency that no textbook, no teacher, and no course can give you. Because the truth is simple. Fluency lives inside you, and speaking to yourself every day is how you unlock it. Rule 6. Track tiny progress daily, the habit that turns small steps into massive fluency. One of the biggest reasons people fail at learning English is not because they are lazy, not because they are slow, and not because they are weak. It's because they cannot see their progress, so they assume there is no progress. But the truth is this: progress in language is invisible until it becomes impossible to ignore. And that is exactly why the most successful English learners build the powerful habit of tracking their tiny victories every single day. Not weekly, not monthly, daily. Tracking your progress is not about writing long reports or creating complicated charts. It's about giving your brain evidence that you are moving forward, even when it feels slow. You see, your brain is designed to notice failures more than successes. You forget the improvements. You forget the new phrases you learned. You forget the times you understood something easily. But you remember every mistake. You remember every moment of confusion. You remember every time you felt stuck. This negativity bias is why many learners quit. They think they are not improving, when in reality, they are growing every single day, but they simply aren't recording it. That's where this rule becomes life-changing. Tracking your tiny progress trains your mind to see growth. It transforms your feelings. It strengthens your motivation. It builds your confidence. When you write down even one small win each day, one new word, one new sentence, one new idea, one moment of speaking without fear, you are teaching your brain a powerful message. I am improving. I am moving forward. I am becoming fluent. This message changes everything. Imagine keeping a small English progress journal. At the end of each day, you write 3 simple things. 1. What did I learn today? 2. What did I practice today? 3. What did I do better than yesterday? Even if your answer feels tiny, I learned the word routine, or I spoke English to myself for 2 minutes, or I watched a 5-minute English video, it still counts. And the magic is that these tiny steps begin to pile up. After 1 week, you see proof. After 1 month, you see progress. After 6 months, you become unrecognizable. You create a positive cycle. You track progress. You see progress. You feel motivated. You practice more. You improve faster. You track even more. This becomes a loop of unstoppable growth. Tracking tiny progress also destroys perfectionism. Many English learners quit because they think fluency must come from big actions, hours of studying, long lessons, big achievements. But true fluency is built from micro-habits, the small daily actions that seem too small to matter until they make you unstoppable. When you track your small steps, you finally see the truth. The small steps are the fluency. Another powerful benefit of tracking progress is accountability. When you write down what you did, you create a record. You create a commitment. You can't lie to yourself. And if you skip a day, you feel the gap, not as guilt, but as a reminder of your goal. Your journal becomes a mirror, showing you who you are becoming. Over time, this habit also builds identity. You stop saying, I am trying to learn English, and you start saying, I am a person who practices English every day. Identity is stronger than motivation. Identity survives bad days. Identity drives action automatically. And tracking your progress is the fastest way to create that identity. And here's the final truth. When the day comes where you finally speak fluently, when you understand everything, when your sentences flow, when your confidence rises, you will look back at all those tiny progress notes and realize something amazing. It was never one big moment that made you fluent. It was the small moments, repeated every day, that built your new identity. Rule 7. Protect the habit, not the mood. Your fluency grows when you show up, even on bad days. If there is one rule that separates people who become fluent in English from people who quit, it is this one. The greatest learners are not the smartest, not the most talented, not the most confident. They are the ones who protect their habits, even when their mood tries to destroy them. Because here's the truth, no one tells you. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel strong. Some days, you will wake up tired. Some days, you will feel stressed. Some days, you will feel like your English is terrible. Some days your mind will whisper, not today, maybe tomorrow. But fluency is not built on the days when everything feels easy. Fluency is built on the days when it feels hard and you still show up. When you protect the habit, you are saying, my future is more important than my feelings. This is how disciplined English learners win. Not by studying for hours every day, but by refusing to break the chain. Because every time you practice English on a bad day, even for 5 minutes, you are building mental strength. You are training your brain to obey your goals, not your emotions. You are proving to yourself that you are serious about changing your life. Most learners only practice when they feel like it, but champions practice especially when they don't feel like it. That is the difference between temporary effort and permanent transformation. Imagine two people. Learner A practices English only when inspired. If tired, stressed, or busy, no English that day. Their progress is slow and they feel stuck. Learner B practices every day, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 10, sometimes only 3 minutes. But they never skip. Even on their worst days, they touch English. Guess who becomes fluent? Not the motivated one, not the talented one, the consistent one. Protecting your habits is like protecting a small flame. In the beginning, it is fragile. A little wind can kill it, but if you protect it every day, it becomes a fire that lights your mind, a fire that builds your confidence, a fire that never goes out. You don't need perfect days. You just need unbreakable consistency. Even if you only read 1 page, learned 1 new word, repeated 1 sentence, listened for 2 minutes, practice speaking alone for 30 seconds, that still counts. Because you didn't break the habit. This transforms your identity. You become someone who shows up, someone who grows a little every day, someone who builds fluency like a warrior, builds strength with discipline, not emotion. And one day, without even noticing when it happened, you will realize something powerful. Your English has become automatic. Your confidence has become natural. Your fluency has become who you are, not because of motivation, but because you protected your habit. This is Rule 7, and it is the rule that makes all the other. If today's message touched you, if it opened your eyes, if it reminded you that fluency is built from small daily actions, then my friend, don't stop here. This channel, Fuel for English Life, is not just about English lessons. It's about building the mind, the discipline, and the identity of a fluent speaker. So, if you're ready to grow every day, if you're ready to protect your habits, if you're ready to become the version of you who speaks English with confidence and power, hit subscribe. Now join the family of unstoppable learners and come back tomorrow for another episode that will fuel your English and fuel your life. Your journey is not over. It's just beginning. And I'm walking with you every step of the way.